Hi, how are you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Good. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Sydney.
Hi, I'm Sophie.
So today I want to discuss with you guys some communication concepts and how they can affect relationships in a team setting. The main concept I'll be discussing is the social exchange theory. So this theory proposes that social behavior is the result of an exchange process. The purpose of the exchange is to maximize benefits and minimize costs. So costs are things that you see as negatives, such as putting in money, time, effort into a relationship, and benefits is things that you get out of it, such as fun, friendship, companionship, and social support. Another major component is expectations. So in a work setting, this can be seen in the expectation of reciprocity between leader and staff. So in a sports setting, this would be between the coach and the players. So if a player does not feel that their effort is being reciprocated by a coach or a higher up person, then this will affect their work. So did you guys have anything to comment on that?
You're true.
Very true.
Very accurate.
And before I talk about the next part, I just wanted to introduce some foundations of relationships. So relationships can be categorized as social or personal. So personal relationships, these will meet your emotional and relational needs. And social relationships will lack this closeness and interdependence, but will occasionally meet your needs. So relationships can also be categorized as voluntary or involuntary. So voluntary is like your acquaintances, your friends. Involuntary is your neighbors, your distant relatives. So in a team setting, where do you feel like your teammates fall on this spectrum?
Some voluntary, some involuntary.
Mm-hmm. And then how about between
Voluntary.
I would say majority voluntary.
how about between social or personal relationships?
Some social, some are personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I said
More
social person.
I would say
Personal
more
this
personal.
semester
Then,
than
yeah,
last
so-
semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Last year was giving more social.
So you feel like more personal and voluntary connections lead to better team connections overall?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Touching back to an example of a team situation and analyzing the social exchange theory, I'm just going to propose a study that was done. It was with 488 French women handball players. So these players were asked to describe some benefits of the sport. They described competence, relatedness, progress, the coach's support, and playing time as some benefits. The subjects were divided into two studies, one in which enjoyment and perceived benefits were emphasized, supporting the social exchange theory. It was found that dropout players perceived themselves as significantly less competent, less related to their team, found lower progress and less support from the coach than the persistent players, and commitment level was positively associated with perceived benefits and negatively with social constraints and alternative solutions. Lack of commitment led to dropping out of the sport 8 months later. My goal with this discussion is to further discuss social exchange theory and its impacts on team relationships. So, what do you feel the main factors are of an individual wanting to quit a sport?
I feel like part of it could be like your relationship with your coaches as well as your teammates could be like a major aspect for people.
Your interpersonal relationships.
Not feeling like you have a support system.
Yeah.
So you're putting yourself through all that energy and time and just giving and not getting anything back, like you said, reward and
Feel like there's no benefit to you being there.
right.
Yeah.
I feel like when a person quit, it goes down to you not getting that chemical stimulation that you once had when you felt like the game was your most exciting. You know, like it's been months of not feeling that high, and you're like, what am I doing this for?
Do you feel that you can relate that to the expectation aspect of the theory, talking about you have a certain expectation for the sport, and when it's not meeting that, it reduces the benefits?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And how have you personally experienced or witnessed any aspect of the social exchange theory, either as a player, as a coach, or as a fan of the sport?
I think the biggest one that comes to my mind right now is my freshman year when I was at my old school UTEP. I just really felt like no one was there for me emotionally, and it was really like a struggle for me to get to practice every day, like really get my work done and stuff. And as soon as like I started finding my own support system and getting back into making connections with people, it just felt so much better, and I felt like I could play even better on the court.
No, I can agree. I definitely felt like that in my freshman year too. That like I lacked like a connection, especially during my spring semester, because I was living by myself, and then everybody else lived in Plaza together. So I felt then I felt super alone, and like I never saw anybody. And anytime I would see somebody was at practice, so I feel like that. Like I was literally at a point where I'm like, I'm about to quit. Like, I'm about to
that relationship is so much more important. Yeah. And how about with the relationship between the coach and player? Do you guys have anything to say on that? Either as a coach or feeling towards a coach somewhat.
I just think it goes down to your coach knowing you as a player, and not having that feeling can make you feel like you want to quit because it's like you're not helping me because you honestly don't know me.
To bounce or on another like note of that, being a coach, I have seen girls like literally tear themselves down because their coach isn't talking to them. And it's always been said, oh, if your coach is yelling at you, like, it's a good thing. And then girls even get sad when their coach is yelling at them because they're doing something wrong. So it can go both ways in that sense.
Definitely. And how do you think you can change communication, either from a coach or between a coach and a player or to a fellow teammate, to reduce the negative effects of the social exchange theory, aka reduce the costs of a relationship, so the negative aspects?
I feel like the major aspect is just like making it known, like as a player to player, like making it known that like you're there for them outside of just like on court. So like because you know you still have that support system. Because like you may be teammates, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna talk outside the gym. Like, I feel like that's an important aspect to at least have a few people on your team that you feel like you can do that with.
Definitely.
And as far as player coach, I feel like you being the adult in the situation because people can't read minds, you know, voicing how you feel and what you need out of the exchange of the relationship.
Definitely.
And I would say just like not making any assumptions, not having expectations on people. Like,
trying to reduce that
expectation.
Fresh mindset for every relationship. And then this is only if you want to share any personal experience. I know we touched on it a little bit that you can think of feeling.
Like negatively, like
or positively, that you feel like you felt the costs and benefits of a relationship and how it's impacted you.
Well, as far as like happiness on the court, as far as that feeling, I feel like it puts you in a place where the disconnect from the sport happens. So when you do it, it's like you're going through the motions when you're playing, and you're not there how you normally would be there. You know, if you did have that feeling of, oh my gosh, this is still fun to me, it's still exciting. So that feeling of like I'm looking outside my body, basically.
Definitely.
I feel like for me personally, like part of that, like positive aspect comes from also me feeling like I have a connection with people who are around me. Because like it's super hard to want to like keep pushing this, that, the other, but it's like you feel like no one around you supports you, or you feel like you have a relationship with everybody else around you.
I think it's so easy as like college athletes to think you're alone in this world in some certain scenarios and stuff. But like we see these people every single day, and that's kind of what got me last semester a little bit. Like I'm super close with Derry, one because we're roommates, and like we just connect like that. But there was like a point where Sid, Yaz, maybe Lexi, you guys, sometimes I wouldn't know anything about what was going on in your life. And yet I saw you every single day. And it
kind of that all the time.
Yeah.
She's like, I wouldn't know anything about them, like anything that's going on.
It blows my mind, like, you know? So I think building that connection and doing that this semester has really helped our team, as cliche as it sounds, become more of like a family than anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
No, it definitely feels like a more clear connection, and that's definitely helped us. Like, because even when we're playing together, even if we're like not That's what we touch or whatever. Like it's still
We were messing with
us.
each
Like
other.
yeah, we're still good with each other.
Yeah.
So,
We have the stable base. that
yeah.
we're able to
Exactly.
offer.
Yeah.
And just to wrap things up a little bit, we already are, but what are some takeaways that you can take from today's discussion? Or any key things that kind of stood out
I
to
really
you?
like when Sophie said like don't have expectations
Mm-hmm.
for things.
Well, expectations will be set up
For failure, yeah, because like we love to set bars extremely high.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Definitely. And how will you continue to reflect on this and maybe apply any concepts discussed today in everyday life?
that.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, not have expectation. Those kind of go hand in hand. And then, what is one way you can kind of change your habits of communication that you feel can impact this? Whether it's the way you talk to a teammate or.
I definitely, for me, it's just like verbalizing how I feel.
Mhm.
Whether it's to my teammates or to my coaches, because I
Right.
have a super bad habit of being like, keeping that to myself.
Right.
But that's not helping nobody, especially on the team.
Likewise, I complain a lot when I'm unhappy about stuff,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, we get it, it ain't gonna get fixed. But me personally, that's something I'm working on of like keeping it to myself because you just stirring the pot.
Yeah.
I'd say about the same I said, like just voicing what I need to say instead of holding back or
Definitely.
fear of being judged or anything like that.
Yeah, of course. And that's pretty much everything I have, unless you have any last words.
No.
Kiss goodbye.
Bye.